Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time this morning to come out for this announcement of this press conference. I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that the Bibb County Sheriff's Office has acquired new cutting-edge ballistics technology for our forensics crime lab. This technology is an integrated ballistics identification system that has been purchased through the Project Safe Neighborhoods grant awarded to the Middle District of Georgia's Project Safe Neighborhoods Task Force for the reduction of violent crime and gun crime in Macon and the Middle Georgia area. Our criminal justice partners in this initiative to reduce gun violence are the U.S. Attorney's Office, and there are representatives here from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Michael Solis, who will come up in a minute to speak, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and Explosives, and the representatives from that organization here today are John Smith, Wes Jackson, Brian Moore, and Art Peralta. And I have to stop and say something about Brian Moore. He is almost a Bibb County deputy because he's been an integral part of this project here, and we really appreciate his efforts in getting us up and running with that. The Macon Bibb DA's office, Sandy Matson is here to represent Mr. Cook in that office. Also, Crime Stoppers, Macon Regional Crime Stoppers, and Warren Selby's here representing Macon Regional Crime Stoppers. And also Middle Georgia State University. Middle Georgia State University has been our research partner in this, and they also acted as the fiscal agent in this effort. So all of these partnerships together have helped get us to where we are today. This newly acquired ballistics system works by giving our local law enforcement officers the ability to forensically analyze firearms-related evidence from crime scenes, meaning shell casings and other evidence that is found at crime scenes. Much like the National Crime Information Center, the NCIC fingerprint database, this system is called the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, or NIBIN for short, and is a database of ballistic images of shell casings and firearms involved in shooting incidents. What this does is takes firearms, shell casings, and firearms from incidents all across the country and puts them in a searchable database that we are able to access and input data into and correlate and compare evidence from something that happens here to something that may happen in another jurisdiction in another place, so that way we can hopefully round up more of these criminals that are more mobile and using more firearms in their crimes. Using this evidence-based forensic technology, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office crime scene technicians can now create and enter images of ballistics evidence into the NIBIN database operated by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. And the NIBIN database can then be searched for possible matches to ballistic evidence within our local jurisdiction, neighboring jurisdictions, and across the country. The deployment of this system at the Bibb County Sheriff's Office will help our investigators by generating leads of possible shooters within a short turnaround time, thus guiding the process of making arrests much quicker. It also fills in the gaps in the prosecution level by providing solid evidence for attorneys, both local DAs and U.S. attorneys, to build strong cases and helping to put the bad guys away for a long time on multiple charges. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office is only the second agency in the Middle District of Georgia, in the federal Middle District of Georgia, to have this technology. The other one is down in Valdosta, so it's way down in South Georgia. So in the Middle Georgia area, we are the only agency in this region that has this. And so with all of this, and in a little bit y'all are going to get to see how it all works and give a little presentation on what it does. But we are very proud, and this is cutting edge technology. It really puts us on par with the big metropolitan departments and helps us in this whole Middle Georgia region to track firearms. And it has already paid off. Up until we've had the equipment here in our lab, we have been sending off, and Brian has been helping us with that through Atlanta and Savannah to correlate some of the firearms cartridges that we have found, some of the shell casings, and we have been able to link many crimes, and it has been it's really been telling to me to show how a gun can be used in several different crimes in different parts of town that you really wouldn't even think about. And had we not had this technology, we would have never been able to have linked one gun with several seemingly unrelated crimes. So this is a major step forward and a very much needed and much appreciated endeavor that we're embarking on here, and this equipment that we're going to have. So without further ado, I will ask some of our partners to come up and make a couple of remarks. Art Peralto from the ATF, you come on up and say a few things.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thank you all for being here. I just want to say that one of ATF's top priorities is the reduction of gun violence in all of our communities. And that's why relationships with our collaborative partners like the Bibb County Sheriff's Department is extremely important to us. We share the same goals, which is reducing violent crime in our communities. One of the tools that we use is NIBIN, as the Sheriff said, the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. And the reason that you should be excited about NIBIN is because it allows us to focus our investigative resources on identifying the most violent individuals in our communities. Now, we know that a small percentage of the criminal population is responsible for a high percentage of violent crime. As a matter of fact, studies have shown us that in major cities, 1% of the violent crime is committed, or 1% of the population commits 2/3 of the violent crime in those cities. So this allows us to focus our resources and look for those individuals that are out there pulling the trigger. I'll keep my comments short because I think the Sheriff covered it very, very well. The main goal for us is that we are out there looking for those individuals who choose to commit crimes, and they choose to commit crimes utilizing a gun. Those are the individuals that we're extremely interested in going after, because those are the ones that are creating the most havoc in our streets. Our communities, especially our children in those communities, deserve to live in areas where they don't have to worry about becoming a victim of gun violence. And NIBIN is going to help us focus on those individuals that are the most violent. Thank you.
All right, and then those of us that are on the front lines to get them arrested, we have to have the folks that's going to put them away. And with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Bibb DA's office, those are integral parts of our partnership and teamwork. So I'm going to have Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Solis come up and make a few comments on that.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Solis, and I'm Chief of the Criminal Division for the United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Georgia. On behalf of Charlie Peeler, our United States Attorney, who unfortunately could not be here, I would like to say that this machine, the NIBIN machine, really represents the cutting-edge technology and a marriage of cutting-edge technology with the hard work that the Sheriff's Office, through its investigators and its deputies, perform. This is a perfect marriage of technology and hard work. As already been stated, this particular machine was paid for through a Project Safe Neighborhoods, or PSN, grant. If my memory serves me correctly, that grant was at approximately $200,000 for this particular machine. So it's an expensive piece of equipment, but it is a money well worth the expense because of the lives that this type of technology can save. As has been stated, Project Safe Neighborhoods, or PSN, is the initiative for the Department of Justice to reduce violent crime here in Bibb County, the Middle District of Georgia, and across our nation. Reducing violent crime is the #1 priority of our United States Attorney, the Department of Justice, and the President. The NIBIN technology is a tool that can reduce the impact of violent crime here in Macon. This initiative is a collaborative effort, as the Sheriff has mentioned, of not only the Sheriff's Office, ATF, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Bibb County District Attorney's Office, but also the community, because this is a solution to reduce violent crime here in our community. Thank you.
And we have Assistant Bibb District Attorney Sandy Matson.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Sandy Matson. I'm an assistant DA in the Macon Judicial Circuit, and I apologize. David Cook had a previous engagement out of town, so I'm representing our office. Mr. Cook wanted me to give you some remarks. Using this technology, Bibb County deputies will be better equipped to investigate crimes, increasing our chances of getting justice when a case goes to court. Perpetrators of gun violence have terrorized our community for way too long, and with this technology, we'll have one more tool in our arsenal to take them off the street. We're excited to work with all of our partners and have this cutting-edge technology at our fingertips, and we look forward to getting the violent gang and gun crime perpetrators off the street. Thank you.
All right, so I wanted to take this opportunity to make a presentation to the Bibb County Sheriff's Office and to the Sheriff. You will see that this plaque here designates the first lead in fighting violent gun crime that the Bibb County Sheriff's Office had. What this represents is the first investigative or actionable lead that they developed based on the NIBIN system. I will tell you that I'm going to present the Sheriff with this plaque today, and I will probably be back in very short order to give you your 100 lead plaque and the plaques that come after that, because the NIBIN system is that effective, and I am very appreciative of the Sheriff's Department, especially the Sheriff, for recognizing that this technology is important in reducing violent gun crime. So, Sheriff, on behalf of ATF and everybody that is involved with NIBIN, your first lead, congratulations.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This will go in the NIBIN lab so that they can see the first and the 100th lead. So we appreciate it, and this is for the hard work of all of the forensic investigators and all the investigators out on the street that gather the evidence and take it through to where we get an eventual prosecution and get these violent criminals off the street. Now that sort of concludes the in here portion of it. If y'all have any real questions, we can answer some right quick. But we're going to go across the hall, and some of the NIBIN technicians will give you a little bit of give you some presentation, or give you how it works and everything. So, has anybody got any questions for us in here now?
You probably won't be able to answer. It's probably still an open investigation. But how helpful would this be for, like the Death Valley incident?
Oh, it's very helpful, and in those kinds of cases, while they're all still under investigation, you can be assured that the evidence that we gathered in those cases and in those incidents, we're running them through the NIBIN system. So yes, it is very essential, and as the cases continue to be investigated and go through the prosecution phase, you'll see how beneficial this NIBIN system has been.
A quick question. As far as speed when it comes to things like this, it seems like this is something that will allow you guys to move a little bit quicker paced. Is that something you agree with?
Certainly, and you have to think about it before, if the technology existed. As I said, we were using some out of Savannah, using the states out of Atlanta, but there's travel time, there's the time to get the evidence there, for them to process it, plus they're processing evidence from their home base too. So this way, this cuts out all of that, and so we're able to process everything that happens here in Bibb County at this location, and also we'll be able to process evidence that comes from surrounding agencies around here. This type of concept has already been in place through the fingerprint system, the automated fingerprint identification system, the AFIS system, to where that you find a fingerprint and you put it into the database, and it gives you possible suspects. And we are a hub base here in Bibb for that system too, that is based right here in this same facility. So this does the same thing for shell casings, and so the speed at which we can get the turnaround is going to really ramp up, and we have already been able to solve some cases with what we have.
I'd like to talk about how this will help Middle Georgia. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but before you had to go to Savannah or Atlanta, will you be helping surrounding counties with the system now? Certainly.
That's part of what this is. This is all a partnership, and this Middle District of Georgia, the Middle District of Georgia covers from all the way up, from up near Athens all the way through Macon down into Valdosta. So on the federal level, we'll be helping all of those agencies in that area. On a regional level here in Middle Georgia, all of the surrounding counties, surrounding cities, we'll be happy to help them, and that's part of the partnership, because somebody may use a gun here in Macon today, but they may use that same gun in Warner Robins or Forsyth or somewhere else tomorrow. And if we can track it and track where it's been used, we can bring that violent criminal to justice with even more charges and get them off the street.
Can you talk about how this will help you guys in working with stolen weapons as well? Criminals aren't necessarily buying stuff at the gun store; they're taking out people's cars. It's got to help recover weapons as well.
Well, it will. This technology tracks the shell casings, and each firearm, and the technicians will get into the weeds of exactly how it does and how the differences in firearms and how all the firearms are unique. But once we find the firearm that shell casing comes from, and we link it to a suspect, then the next step is to see if it's stolen. Then to do that's where the ATF helps us to do trace, to see where that gun came from, where that gun was originally purchased from, who originally purchased. Because a lot of times these firearms are stolen, but they're not either reported stolen, or when they're stolen, the person doesn't have the serial number, so they're not able to give us a complete information so that we can enter it into the computer system. But this way, once we get our hands on it and can do a trace, then we can give the whole history of that firearm to see if it had been stolen or whose all hands it had been in. All right.